What's inside this package all the way from the United Kingdom? Find out in a moment as we start the Retro Hunting Adventures.
Yo, this is MegaManFan, and you need to rock and or roll on over to Mr. MegaManFan's YouTube channel, because it's all that rush to make it happen. Peace!
I'm Mr. MegaManFan. Thank you to MegaRam for that introduction, and thank you to my friend Al for sending me this Koopa Troopa Amiibo all the way from the United Kingdom. There was a seller there that had them way cheaper than they were going for on eBay, so much appreciated, my dude. I paid for the Amiibo, and then I paid him for the shipping to forward it to me, since UK would not ship direct to the US. Weird. But this, however, I bought right here from a United States seller, so this one had no problem getting to me, but it did wind up requiring a little work once I got it out of the box. You'll see that in just a moment. But first, let me show you what it is. If I can get it out of all this bubble wrap, we have San Francisco Rush 2049. So I'm now down to just 6 Nintendo 64 games I need. It looks kind of dirty though, and that's why I've got the rubbing alcohol and the Q-tips handy, because as I suspected, on my first attempt, this cartridge does not want to run. The pins are just too dirty. It's not going to do anything. I hit the power switch, nothing happened. So what I've got to do here is take a Q-tip, dip it into the rubbing alcohol, get it moist but not dripping wet. You don't ever want to just soak the thing in there like you're filling up a sponge with water. Don't do that. Just dip it lightly, shake off the excess. I usually just rattle the Q-tip around inside the bottle to do that. And then, as always, proceed to gently rub/scrub the contacts on each side, front and back. And make sure you put a little bit of emphasis on the edge, the leading edge that's sticking out at the bottom, because that's where a lot of the gunk can collect the most, is right there at the bottom of the pins. So this one actually took 2 Q-tips because, as you can see, it was quite dirty on the inside. You wipe with the wet side and then finish with the dry side, and both sides of this are going to come out looking quite dirty. This cartridge was not going to be anything other than that, just based on its outward physical appearance, because you could see the stains from previous usage from the previous owner/owners. It's probably changed hands multiple times. But 2 Q-tips and rubbing alcohol later, we have a working game that is detecting the expansion pack, but there is no memory pack in there. So I'm going to continue without saving and just do a quick game. This was not the most expensive game of the ones that I had left to go, which is obviously why it comes first, but just one that, like NFL Blitz, I had just never gotten around to for some reason. So I made the eBay seller an offer that was within a buck or two of what it currently goes for on price charting, thinking if he says no, I'll just keep an eye on it. If he says yes, then I'm one game closer to a set. So it worked out for me, and this game is very arcade-like, very fast, and the controls get away from you in a hurry because your car gets airborne and slips around quite a bit. So I'm probably going to need to learn how to control myself while in the air and or drift going around these curves, because once I got knocked back to 6th place, I couldn't even catch the final car that I was behind. I could see him ahead of me, but maintaining control and gaining enough acceleration to pass him at the same time proved to be not the easiest thing in the world to do on this quick play session. And then I managed to wipe spectacularly into an obstacle that I couldn't correct for in time. Kaboom! So I decided, this is good enough. I've cleaned the cartridge. It's tested and working. Perhaps it's time to move on to something else. but this would be a very short edition of the Retro Hunting Adventures if I only had 2 things in the mail and nothing else to do. So I found this box that I had labeled Assorted Game Manuals and thought, that's a little too vague. Let's go through it and see what I got in here. We got these Activision mail-in patches that you got for submitting a high score. That one is a little stained, the barnstorming one, but the dragster one looks like it's in pretty good shape, as does the Megamania one, so that's cool. This flyer is from a Gorf game produced for Atari Jaguar that, unfortunately, the person creating it didn't have the full intellectual property rights before. That became a bit of a controversy. Ironically, here's an Atari Jaguar flyer from AtariAge.com, but the game was ultimately pulled from sale. But I still have my copy. I regret that it worked out that way, but sometimes it just bees like that. Here's a manual for another Atari Age game, Conquest of Mars, not for Jaguar, but for the VCS/2600. Now, this isn't a game manual, obviously. It's a poster for Axiom Verge, but somehow it ended up in the, quote, assorted game manuals. Here we have one for an NES control deck. Wow, it's quite vintage, revision 6. And on the back it says Nintendo of America Incorporated and printed in Japan. So, next, I don't know if I'd call this a assorted game manual, more like an assorted catalog, but it's Avalon Hill from July 1986. And look, we have Rune Quest in here, and the new James Bond game, Villains. So, Avalon Hill dabbled in video games for a little while. They even had a few games on Atari 2600, but they were more known for their board games and trivia games, but definitely an interesting piece of history. This one is an actual manual, an owner's manual for the aforementioned Atari 2600/VCS. If you ever wondered what VCS stands for, now you know. Video Computer System. The whole image of video games was still a little bit iffy in the 1980s, so a lot of console makers were branding what they had as computers to try to get around that to give it a better image. And here we have a warranty and registration card that was inside the manual that was never filled out. I love finding stuff like this. And it even mentions that you can get a free logbook to record your high scores. I've got to ask my friend Earl if that's where he gets the Twitter name Logbook Guy from. Maybe he just really liked those logbooks as a kid. And look at all those stores that are no longer in business that were in that warranty card. Where did you get this? Don't say Sears. Don't say JCPenney. Good luck if you fill that out. Those don't exist anymore, whatever. But insert your game program. See, they don't even call it a cartridge. They call it a program. They're really trying hard with this whole computer concept here. But it was just a marketing ploy to get it into more consumers' homes. There you go. A nice little piece of video game history right there. Got some PlayStation 3 inserts and a program from E3 2004 for the Interactive Gaming Museum with a vintage computer space video game, Ralph Bayer's prototype for the first Odyssey video game console, a Ms. Pac-Man tabletop, an Atari with joysticks and paddles. Nice little selection of things in here. Even a Vectrix 3D headset. The Classic Gaming Expo Museum sponsored by Intellivision Productions Incorporated. I'm not sure if that was something I just got sent in the mail, because I don't think I was at the expo that year. I think I was at it the year before, but I'm not so sure. So maybe I did actually pick that up while I was there. More PS3 stuff here. And then we have some miscellaneous video game manuals, living up to the assorted manuals label on the box. Night Stalker for Intellivision and Ace of Aces for Atari 7800. And they both seem to be in pretty good shape. You don't have to start combining stuff together when it matches. Like, here's an Atari homebrew manual for 4-play. So I'm going to keep all the Atari manuals together that I find. Except for this one. It's actually for the flashback, so that's modern Atari, not the old school Atari. So not plugging any cartridges into this thing. No way. And this isn't a manual. This is a postcard for R-Type Dimensions X from Strictly Limited Games. Here's a manual. It's for Ultra Scuzzy Side, a game that was a highly praised homebrew in its time. And here we have an insert card from an order from Fangamer, which has Shovel Knight artwork on it. Very cute. Holiday 2017. I've got several of these things. They just pile up over time. But it is what it is. I don't mind Fangamer sending little extras along with my orders, so good on them. Test Drive Le Mans for Game Boy Color. I know I don't have the game, but I do have the manual. This one I actually have. Puzzle Collection, I've got that. Fastest Lap, I don't know if I have that or not. Not sure. But I'll put all these Game Boy manuals in a pile and possibly combine them together as I continue to dig through here. Kung Fu. Kind of a rough looking copy, but Kung Fu for the NES. This isn't a manual. It's a pre-order card for Halo 4. Alright. And this is a manual, but it's also a game. It's Deep Blue for TurboGrafx 16. And I'm guessing I bagged that up because I already had a complete copy of it. So, might have something that I can sell or trade there. A Sears Telegames hockey manual, individually bagged. A Skyjinx Activision manual, individually bagged. Looks like we got one for Dolphin as well. Yes, the Dolphin Decoder manual, also an Activision game. Also individually bagged. We would like to get to know you, they say. Copyright 1983 Activision. Sorry, about 27 years too late for that. Here's some more Fangamer mailing inserts, including a cute, annoying dog sticker from Undertale. And there, I can combine it with the Shovel Knight insert and another Undertale one. I believe that's from when I bought my Fierce Undyne t-shirt because I still have the 2X sticker that was wrapped around the shirt inside this bag. So I'll combine that and this one for the Undertale plushes all together into one bag. What do we have next in the assorted manuals? A charge station for Nintendo Wii remotes. And a charging dock for Switch controllers. And hello. Oh, for my RAV Power battery bank for charging my phone and things. And an Xbox 360 controller manual. When I said assorted manuals on the box, I was definitely right. We got video game manuals, controller manuals, home console manuals, game manuals. We got a little bit of everything in here. Wired optical mouse manual. Yeah, whatever. System restoration guide. What system? Doesn't say. Obviously for a PC. It's not even telling me which PC. Whatever. That's not a manual. That's an insert for an LCD Ms. Pac-Man that I bought. Glad I saved that though. For Australia only. Oh, for Seagate, for an external hard drive, I assume. Capcom. This isn't a manual, this is a catalog. This is like Avalon Hill, except for slightly more modern times, because it's advertising Mega Man X7, and I believe on the previous page was Mega Man Battle Network 2. Let me flip. Yep. So, nice little piece of history for me as a Mega Maniac. I'll definitely have to set that one aside and hang on to that. Next up, also not a manual, but a flyer for Animal Crossing Wild World on DS. I assume this was probably a pamphlet they handed out in the video game section at stores like Target, Best Buy, Kmart, whatever. And a manual for a wireless notebook network card, a Belkin model. And more PlayStation 3 stuff. And I got a shit ton of PlayStation 3 manuals and catalogs and instructions and all sorts of things in this assorted manuals box. I have to put all these PS3 video game manuals and flyers and pack-ins all together. And we have a Nintendo Wii promotional DVD. Again, just like that pamphlet for Animal Crossing Wild World, this is probably something they gave out free in stores at stores like Best Buy. Next up, what do we have? But some PlayStation manuals that I previously bagged up, because these are all for games I don't have. I know I should get the Die Hard trilogy. That game comes highly recommended. And we have some Game Boy manuals and a TurboGrafx manual in the back, stuck in there for God knows what reason, probably just because it's approximately the same size. Let me pull that out, separate it from them, for Double Dungeons. So apparently I have a loose manual for Double Dungeons that doesn't go with a loose copy of the game. But the rest, as you can see, is Pokemon and Pokemon inserts. So I'm going to combine this with the other Game Boy manuals that were just assorted into this assorted game manuals box. Let's put all of these Game Boy manuals in one bag and keep some sort of organization here, shall we? Then we can move on to these Tengen manuals with this cryptic post-it note. Had this extra, hope you could use it. Unfortunately, it's not signed, so I don't know who sent that to me or whose handwriting it is, but I do appreciate their generosity. And I know this was from before the days that I was making YouTube videos, so this comes from like the early 2000s. Whoever sent this or gave this to me, thank you very much for that. Sorry, I don't know because you didn't sign it, so I can no longer identify who that was, but obviously it was a friend of mine. There was a Super Mario Land manual there, and we've got some Sega Game Gear manuals there. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, a loose manual, and some Atari Lynx manuals. Looks like we got Electrocop in there, among others. And that's an extra Harry Potter manual, because I have a complete copy of that. Got some download cards for some vinyl albums I bought, and then a Space Chase end label for an Atari cart. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. Thanks for watching.